Or Sniper could be one way, just outrange Adusa. They tried the Sniper before Outsiders. Pure had a pretty good time. I wouldn't mind it up against Adusa.
It may just go down that route. I mean, the Tiny certainly seems like a terrible pos one against the Deucer here, so they're probably not going to go down that route. Sniper definitely could work. Wouldn't mind seeing it. In terms of catch potential, you haven't really got much either for the Sniper. Like, you've got this Invoker that has Tornado, but feels like that's about it. Kind of hard for the Bane to get within range for the Fiend's Grip, and the Ench can't really do much in that manner either, so I kind of agree with you on this one, John. I think you could actually go back for the Pos 1 Sniper if you do want. Naturally, the Anti-Mage is banned out, which is the obvious pick, I'd say, against the Medusa, but there's no way in hell that any team's giving away Anti-Mage against Deucer when they do have the Deucer on their own side of things, even though you and I have personally seen Anti-Mage lose anyway. But that's just kind of how the matchup goes. John, Anti-Mage just requires a billion years of farm and then just kind of does nothing. That's how it's always been and probably how it always will be. Still, I think the Sniper might actually be the way to go. I mean, why not? Run it back, see if Pure can make it work, and again, this time, I just don't think they have the catch for it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Sniper, Drow is probably a more sensible pick there. I'd say Drow is the safer pick, and again, considering there's no jump, Drow is going to have a good time here as well. So the Drow is probably more sensible, but I mean, Outsiders did pick Sniper. So, you know, Sniper is not too bad here, and there are not many good jumpy offlaners left here for the rejects. CK's banned, Timbersaw's banned, so jumping onto those stationary turret-type cores that Outsiders are looking for, you don't have many great options in the offlane left. You don't have your Mars, you don't have your Sand King as well, so you don't have these big blink initiators as well that don't have massive cooldown stuns, like say the Tide in comparison. So you're really well protected go for any of those range cores now, and that could be a problem for the rejects. Not only that, but you have to consider that combination with Dazzle. So even if you did jump something like say the Drow or the Sniper, you're still going to have to deal with that Shallow Grave. You're going to deal with the Juju, the bad Juju minus armor coming through in prolonged fights. Sniper in this case would have, you know, Concussive Grenade to bail out, Hurricane Pike to bail out. Like, it's very hard to punish that kind of turret here, and I think rejects have to find a perfect pick in the offlane. I'm not sure what's left. Digging deep, you might try something like, say, Centaur Blink Stampede could be one way to catch the backline. In that case, Axe, as I mentioned, is something that I think Outsiders like more, but CIS rejects could also go into. I think EU as a region liked it a lot more in Tour 1. So Axe could be one way of dealing with the Dazzle, but again, it can kind of work in jumping. So maybe that's what they go into. Just bring out the old Axe, bring a different build. Again, there's been talk about going for like Phase Boot Spirit Vessel Axe that Cuckoo's been trying and see. That could be something that we see here, perhaps.
I wouldn't mind. It's something a little bit different's always nice. I think Axe just fits the bill very nicely here, as they, or maybe not. They go for the Drow Ranger, which is going to be a bit of a hellish lane for Axe if they do go down that route. Dazzle and Drow at the same time, John, not very fun at all if you're a melee offlane. The question is, what do you go for now? Like, what do you go for in the offlane against Drow Dazzle that can actually stand there and do something? It's not an easy question to answer, I don't think.
No, it's a toughie. But they pick pretty fast here. Pangolier, I guess that's one way. Yeah, you play with Shield Crash, you play with Swash. I think you will want to prioritize Swash a bit more, but that lane still looks really strong from Outsiders. And it's as we said, Mike. You have Dazzle, you ban out all these jumpy offlaners. Pango can be jumpy. It's not quite the same sort of jumpiness, especially once a Drow gets something like a BKB. So it's still going to be well protected for Pure if he gets that build up. And you have that matchup against Adusa, which just feels good for Drow. You still have issues with Stone Gaze, but after that, you can outrange her, you can pierce through her, you have a lot of good damage, and you have the protection of Dazzle. So I know, difficult question, Mike. I'm going to be leaning towards Outsiders. I think they have a really good lineup to enable this Drow. They have a good way of facing off against Adusa towards the late game. They do not have a good answer for the Pango. You know, the Bane's not on their side. They don't have a Bloodseeker. So I can't see Miero carrying and being really disruptive in these fights. It just feels like the win condition for Outsiders is a little bit easier to meet.
Yeah, I agree with you in that sense. And when you look at just the general lanes itself, and it looks pretty rough. Like DK Mirana, Dazzle Drow, and of course Ember mid. It's not the greatest laner, but it's also not the worst. It's just a great kind of hero to have, and it doesn't tend to lose or win mid lane very often. It just kind of trades farm, secures power runes, and then starts rotating. But the side lanes are very dominant here from outsiders for sure. I'd be very shocked to see them losing said side lanes, but you never know, Jonathan. We'll see what does happen between these two. I'm personally just very happy we're not going to have to watch a third game of Nature's Prophet just ratting the map every 2 seconds. That should be very, very fun to watch. And we'll see how they do shift their strategies moving into this game 3. I mean, one of these teams has to be knocked down to the lower bracket, and of course this is for to acquire a slot to the majors, so very important for all these teams to try and get through, and preferably through the upper bracket if you can. Just being that much safer pathing is obviously preferred for either team. We should be getting into game 3 very, very soon, Jonathan. Very soon indeed.
Yeah, I am a bit disappointed here, Mike. Outsiders, they've got the Mirana persona. They don't have the DK persona, so we only have one anime hero. It's like we always get this. It's either or. It's never both. I was hoping to break that here, but what can you do? Sometimes you just don't get those battle pass levels up. I personally don't have the DK one myself, so I'm guilty of that, Mike. I'm guilty.
I mean, neither do I, John. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have it either.
Oh, look at you acting high and mighty. Then it's like, why don't you have it? It's like, well, you got your wife a penthouse for her birthday. Why don't you
John,
have it?
I didn't buy her the damn penthouse. I rented it out. It was one night. One night I rented it out, and I've never heard the end of it from you. And maybe if you treat me well, I'll buy you a penthouse too, John. Maybe.
I would love that, Mike. I would love that. This is a great smoke as well that I'm loving here from Outsiders. Good sneak around, but they walk into a ward. So the entire gang's kind of cut off. Really good heads-up play from the Rejects to plant that early ward. They also plant an early ward, and again, with both teams, vision has been key in these past 2 series. Game 1, a lot tighter. Game 2, not as much emphasis there, considering the movement was a little bit more predictable. But now that's going to cause some issues down the line. It's going to make stacking a little bit more complicated for the Rejects here.
It certainly will be. So, looks like there's going to be no level 1 team fight to break out. And they are still setting up here, Outsiders hoping that they find a target. FNG, he's going to be the closest thing they have, and well, he's going to be just keeping his distance. In fact, he's found the Observe Ward of the other side. So go ahead and take that out immediately. Outsiders unable to really abuse that the Dragon Tail into the arrow combination they were looking for. Still, I mean, you're still going to have plenty of success, I'm sure, during the laning stage. But for now, I should have a look at that bot lane, John. You've got the Dazzle, you've got the Drow. I think it's, even as the Ench, it's going to be a very hard laning stage for Roger. You could try to avoid the Dazzle altogether and just avoid taking that Poison Touch, but assuming you caught both the Poison Touch and the Frost Arrows, you are probably just going to get chased down and die. There's no real escaping it.
Yeah, no running. Even the Pangolier doesn't have a great time there. Shield Crash can be aggressive. You can use the enchant to slow down a bit. Doesn't really stop it too much. At the very least, they split the focus here from Reject, so they kind of split that spell use out. Chasing Roger means that your Drow's not going to go out of its way to harass out an Enchantress, but at the same time, Sakota can just keep that Poison Touch running. Roger already at half HP. Not going to be feeling great eating through those tangos very early on here.
Yeah, you're gonna love how it just refreshes every time you right-click. You love to see it. That mid lane, Depressed Kid already dropping so low here. GPK already getting very active. Depressed Kid opting for the level 1 in Wex, going for the EMP. Now we'll have the Quas up though, so let's pick up the Tornado, and that's like you mentioned, John. This is one of his favorite heroes, so he's going to be feeling very comfortable on this Invoker. But it's not necessarily the easiest kind of lane against GPK's Ember either.
Yeah, I mean, the Ember has a lot of early presence. You can dodge out with a Sleight of Fist. And Invoker doesn't do too much against the Flame Guard nowadays as well. So you're not going to be able to really break that off all too well unless you do manage to land that Tornado, which is, again, dodgeable. So lots of ways for GPK to manage lane. And his power spikes feel really scary for Invoker. Like, once you have even just a casual Blightstone, not even the full Orb of Corrosion, Sleight of Fist starts to hurt, and that usually lines up with a level 2 Sleight of Fist. So GPK can just constantly harass out. He will have to control the runes a lot better.
Dakota.
But,
gonna drop bot lane. They actually end up finding him here, so Miero, he's gonna take first blood gold on the Pangolier. And I thought it may have been the other way around, but it seems like Roger and Miero just kind of able to separate the Drow and Dazzle, and well, they will be able to take down the Pulse 5 Daz.
And the big issue there is if you do split up that focus of the Dazzle and the Drow, use the Poison Touch in a hero that's not really standing in lane, you can't get that full utility from the slow. And that combination kind of kills itself off. So you've got to focus in on the Pango. You've seen really good distractions come through from Roger, and he rotates in.
Yeah, mid lane, GPK's copying so much damage. Your Mitch, he's going to be okay on the Mirana. GPK, in fact, Miero just denying himself off, but this Warpine Raider, it's so much damage. Especially if you land the siege shot and it bounces. It's just kind of ridiculous how much damage you can deal as GPK, even just chaining up the neutral while it was expiring. But as the Ench, you could just stick around here as long as you want. Speaking of the devil though, Roger forced to fight Zakota, but he's in a position where he doesn't have a Drow to back him up, so he's gonna run. You can't man fight the Ench by yourself, that's for sure. It's always a 2v1 scenario with Enchantress and Zakota. He's gonna find out the hard way.
Taking away a lot of that early presence, chasing under the tower even, forcing the salve out on Zakota, and isolating Pure. Now he's all alone in the lane. They can manage the lane a little bit better. Miero is lagging behind. Level 2, not much CS 6-0 under his belt compared to Pure at 15-6 at level 4. So you are still getting a good amount of economy here for the outsiders, but you're not finding as much aggression as you'd want, although Roger has to watch himself there as well, but does get a good use out from his Wild Wing Ripper to kind of get the Hurricane pulled back. Still, your Drow is farming pretty nicely here, Mike. Not as nicely as Ramses is up top, but you are getting that build-up you want.
Well, Depressed Kid onto GPK mid lane though. Plenty of damage flying out onto the Ember as FNG gonna try and move in as well. Does have that brain sap GPK. He'll eat the Fairy Fire, but the Tornado, it's gonna land from Depressed Kid. The Invoker getting rid of the Ember with the help of FNG, but that's gonna feel great for the Invoker. Depressed Kid now getting to that level 5 mark, and of course, the Ember just gonna be stuck at level 4. Not gonna feel too great for him.
And that's something we talked about. The support rotations that can come through from the rejects just to contest Rune makes it a lot tougher for the Ember to maintain that lane. Right? He's much more reliant on the bottle. He didn't find either Rune. Good deny out from Depressed Kid. And they just managed to get that lock through, get the damage going. You have the levels up, and Depressed Kid to have a little bit more impact with Cold Snap. Oh.
Yeah, Pure's in a bit of danger here. He's trying to juke out Miero, but Miero's still on the chase and does have Shield Crash back up in a second, but a nice gust out. Pure still going, actually going to survive. See, he barely is alive, but the Warpine's chasing him down. He needs the shot, and he's got the shot. Oh, Warpine Gaming. Don't underestimate the Warpine Raider, John. And he's got another one now.
What a lovely little creep. 200 damage if you manage to get the bounce off twice onto the same hero, and it is a very nice hero. Mitch trying to play tag here.
Oh, look, he saves the Warpine. That's how important this creep is, John. He takes the arrow for it and it works out. Oh, Roger. You love to see it. I love it, John.
Yeah. I mean, we've been theory crafting a lot, but of shenanigans with the Ench, and we're finally seeing it really pop in here. They've done a good job of blocking the camps. It's just not enough. And in fact, that's the dire block on the Radiant camps. They still have their own large camps to play with. They're digging deeper in jungle down mid. FNG still applying that pressure onto GPK every single time. Nightmare into EMP. GPK suddenly can't leverage that Sleight of Fist. All his right-click damage with a Blightstone gone.
Here we go again. GPK just barely at that level 6 mark, but not there yet. He does level up now, but again, he doesn't have the mana. Still GPK barely able to survive. Even with the tornado damage, he'll get himself out. But it is definitely a very strong combination there with the Bane. Like Nightmare and EMP, it's pretty busted for the poor old Ember. Doesn't really have the highest mana pool in the world, so just gets left with nothing. And now the mid lane, just being forced in, but luckily you are going to have Yamich there with the arrow to take down the siege creep, and that'll put an end to the mid tier 1 tower push.
Managing to relieve some of that pressure, all of the movement out has also really given a lot out to Ramses. This lane up top we didn't really talk about too much, but Ardusa is just basically free farming. Yeah, you're not stopping DM from finding his own farm, but DM's not stopping Medusa either, and it's much more scary to have that Medusa off to a running and start with the flash farm you can have.
Miero trying to move in onto Zakota. He's still fine though. In fact, he's fighting back. FNG will be able to confirm the kill as Miero does end up surviving through the onslaught. So you've got to really give credit to Miero here on this Pango, John, considering the laning stage he had. or should have had at least. They have worked this this bot lane out very nicely, as it does seem like Pure kind of struggling himself on the Drow, actually behind Miero and CS.
Yeah, it's just been really tough. He's been getting solo EXP, but again, you're not getting that impact with the Dazzle lane that you want. And once you start lagging behind the Deuce and farm as a Drow, it feels pretty scary. You want to maintain farm parity with the Deuce. You know, you want to have the same timings onto your Scotty, same timings onto your Dragonlance. That's not lining up. They do isolate Ramses here.
Oh, that's a nice arrow dodge. Ramses barely able to get away. GPK still wants the kill. Is going to go for a bit of a chase, but won't have the damage. Ramses, with the mana shield, going to be able to survive, and well, that's going to be a bit frustrating there for Ramses as he even puts it back to them. Poor old GPK just not catching a break on the Ember. Even more tips coming out. GPK, he'll tip the Invoker, but that's not a BM tip, John. He meant that one.
Yeah, and they've done a great job just handling mid, just applying pressure onto GPK. A full level lead for the Press Kid. The Urn is up. They just really need a kill to start getting rolling on the Cold Snap, and they might find that kill.
Yeah, Pure. He's had a rough time already. He can't afford to die like this, but it looks like he's got no choice in the matter. And the CIS rejects, they're playing them like a fiddle right now, John. Top lane? Maybe they find Ramses, but he's got help on the way. He needs it ASAP. Here comes the Press Kid with a tornado out. Yamich, he might drop. In fact, he's trying to run back the other way. Ramses, he ends up securing the kill, and now he's out of here. The Medusa not going to drop as DM's gone. Oh, the Press Kid and FNG get in there right in the nick of time. And somehow Ramses walks out scot-free.
Bails out right in time. They do find a punishment for Roger, hanging around mid. Not the biggest kill to trade back. They might lose more, though.
They may. Rolling Thunder's there. They've got the Dazzle, at least for now. Miero really wanting that kill, but is going to end up thinking better of it. Does roll the other way as Gust does barely land from Pure. They really want any kill they can get right now. And with the Poison Touch, it's not going to be too hard to confirm that one. Pure able to pick up his second kill of the game on the Drow Ranger, and that's some gold he desperately needs at the moment.
Yeah, they really need to start building up on Pure. Bottom network core in this game so far. Not good news. Again, when you're playing against the Deuce, it is a favorable matchup for Drow, but that's assuming item parity. If you want to maintain the build-up of Ramses, not looking like that's lining up. They are starting to apply some pressure onto mid here from the side of Outsiders, but again, the Press Kid can just always deny the runes, and it's just so much more important for GPK to have that. Like, if he runs out of mana, he has no presence, and we've seen that EMP do a ton of work. He doesn't have as much laning presence if he can't keep spamming out that Sleight of Fist. We're not seeing that early activity that you tend to see from Embers at this point, just with the Orb of Corrosion. Still need to see that commitment for the push. Bit of a smoke out from the rejects. Top lane, though, the side of the Outsiders are looking to go for a fight. Huh?
Oh, the Press Kid is just all over this Drow. Pure. He's going to get to the tier 2 tower. He's got Hakoda right behind him, but can he survive? Pure still trying to run. There's your Shallow Grave out, and Roger's the one to go down. His chains are there. GPK going to try and move in and punish this Invoker, but it seems like the Press Kid is going to be just fine. He'll TP away. The Drow barely surviving.
It's a bit of an issue for the side of Outsiders. They don't have stuns if their DK and Mirana's gone. When they commit those chains. Can't really chase. The Press Kid's still in trouble, though. Is he?
Uh-oh. Is he, though? Cold Snap is there with the Spirit Vessel out. GPK still going to be able to find the kill. Sleight of Fist is there, and Yamich will give the tip over. The GPK about to drop, but will not. As this time, Pure will save the day, and Roger, he's the one to need to back off as FNG now moving in, but it's all one by one. They're just going to feed kills the way of Outsiders. GPK just baiting in everybody.
Very optimistic from the side of Rejects to try to go for that kill. They get punished for it severely. Not quite able to escape there on the Press Kid. I think he broke out of his Ghost Walk, or he got slighted as he was going into Ghost Walk. So not quite fully in the end. Ramses now.
Ramses, yeah, mid lane. What? It's not safe in this lane whatsoever. Ramses. He's gone now. Nobody was around to help out. Now they move in, but it's all too late. They've already lost the Medusa. They're just going to try and find some form of a trade, but this Rolling Thunder, it's only stunning up DM. And in the meantime, Roger, Does end up going down to Yamich's. Now they'll go for a bit more. They found a press kit. That's the big one they want on the Invoker. But do they have the damage? He'll get the Ghost Walk off, but the dust is there. Yamich still going. Does find a press kit as they'll even get FNG. And now maybe the Pango to drop as Yamich somehow out of there is not going to drop. Miero's still in the chase. Yamich surely goes down, but what a juke out. Oh, what a sidestep. Ankle breaker from Yamich. And Miero, he's just going to walk back in shame. Tips out from Yamich. He lets him know about it.
Oh my god, this bounce back from the outsiders. You're just finding these opportunities, and it's coming from rejects just not working together as a team. They've been streaming into mid. They've wanted to hold on to this objective for a long time, but they get punished with how they're working together. Look at outsiders. Their coordination's been on point. They're backing each other up. They're ensuring that they've at least got two heroes around if they want to make a play. And now they get to invade that jungle. Like, yeah, the mid-tier one still stands, but once DK forms back up, they'll probably have another shot at it.
Oh, GPK this time going to narrowly avoid the tornado and be fine to just remnant his way out. CIS rejects. A bit of an awkward scenario now for them. They had such a great lead going for themselves, but it seems like it's all turned the other way. Oh, now even Pure. Only about 800 gold behind Ramses on this Drow. Not too far. He can really start to catch up, and it does seem like now with the Maelstrom up on GPK, you're more than ready to just kind of start roaming the map and setting up kills with the rest of your team. Maybe just a blink on DM to come out, and then you're really ready. In fact, he's got one.
Yeah, that's the timing you want. You're ready to really just run and gun, get that initial stun, line it up with the arrow. You have a severe burst issue here for the side of CIS rejects, right? Like, you're playing against Dazzle, you do not have a way of really just killing these heroes fast enough before Sakota can get that shallow grave off. So even if you drop something low, we've seen that before, they bait it out till the last second and outsiders get to shallow grave, turn these fights around. A bit of a smoke out here with DM and Yemich, just looking for that angle. They are still working the mid, 4-5 forced out, but your DK is still ready with the Dragon Form running and just looking for anyone to straggle in. Rejects, it looks like they learned their lesson here, Mike. They're not streaming up for the defense anymore. The tower's just looking like it's going to fall.
It's problematic, though, when you have a Medusa on your side, John. Like, tier 1 tower gone, that's going to open up the triangle now for outsiders. At least the dire triangle, that is. And suddenly Ramses, bit of a smaller map for himself on this Medusa. Going to have to hang around the left side jungle, but that's not exactly where he wants to be. Meanwhile, outsiders popping the Moonlight Shadow, trying to have a look around through the dire jungle, but not going to find anyone. So they'll just take over, get the farm going. And it seems like outsiders believe that their own triangle is occupied right now by CIS rejects. That is actually not the case. They are not even in that triangle. Still just hanging around the dire jungle. CIS, see what they can get done. They are currently staring at GPK mid lane, but well, if they could land the Fiend's Grip, it'd be a great setup onto the Ember. Problem is he has help right behind him in the form of Hakoda. Instead, they're going to try for a T1 tower push up a top lane here, CIS rejects. It's just to try and force back the side of outsiders to defend, but it doesn't seem like they're going to take that bait. Instead, they might just trade the bottom tier 1.
Just go for a bit of a push themselves. They don't mind too much. Again, opens up the triangle much more for the side of outsiders. Their mid-tier 1 still stands. They have a good angle to retake their own triangle. It's not the biggest loss in the world. And this passive game is helping the rejects a bit in terms of keeping Ramses as number 1. He has increased that gap with Pure up to 1k now. Tridusa is still finding a lot more, playing in the camps, clearing out these waves a lot faster with a split shot. And I think for the side of rejects, just kind of have that fate that Ramses will carry through for you. You are still getting build up as well. I mean, the blink is up for Miero. They just haven't found the angle. And they are still waiting for that grip opportunity. They've got that Tumbler's Toy to gap close. All they need is for the outsiders to misstep just one tiny bit, and they could find that opportunity here.
No, it's still looking. CIS rejects. I mean, I guess as long as Ramsey's just hitting creeps and farming, they're happy, but it feels like Pure not too far behind the Drow, and outsiders now grouping up, maybe looking for a big smoke up. Understanding the map is open. They don't need to sit back and wait. They can be the ones to start being aggressive. There's Roger. in a position to break the smoke that was used up, but Outsiders run right around him. They'll try and loop through the Dire jungle if they can and find Ramses. He's going to be the main target. Roger in perfect position, though, to break the smoke on the Ench. In fact, DM is going to spot him out now and be forced to go for him. And it might be a very easy kill to get, but it's not the kill they really wanted. In fact, Roger, he's not the easiest kill in the world, but they'll find it eventually. They still don't find Ramses, though.
He gets the bailout. Good cutoff from Roger, so your big win condition. Medusa is still farming, still hanging around the area, though. And there is a nice forward ward now from Outsiders. They know where Ramses is playing Moonlight Shadow to cover them, but they're not going to go for that blink play onto Medusa. Maybe just a bit too tanky. They are slightly split apart here. Instead, just get wrapped around themselves here. Depressed Kid does have the ghost form. They do realize that's dust not connecting. You managed to bail out and just another regroup. You're building up in Ramses, you're building up in Pure. I mean, your Drow isn't falling too far behind, but Ramses is pulling ahead a lot faster. So that is a concern, that the Deuce is just not being pressured at all. The supports have done a great job of buying that space. The other chorus of CIS rejects, putting their bodies forward to protect that Dusa. And again, as long as you're not at complete item parity, the Dusa can still have a decent time against that Drow.
Dragon form popped here by DM, but it's not going to amount to much. Instead, they're going to move towards the north where they'll find FNG and Roger. Nightmare's going to be there, but it will be taken. In fact, Fiend's Grip now is out. FNG going to lock them down. Miero going to show up as well. DM still locked down. Should drop as now Depressed Kid looking for more. Have they found the DK though? DM, he's still on the run on the Dragon Knight. He'll go for a blink TP away and he might just make it. They won't even find the Dragon Knight. Yamich in trouble. Miero will have enough for at least that. They'll get the Mirana down, but all that committed and you still don't get the Dragon Knight.
It's not the best thing to happen for the rejects. At least they don't take any losses and they find a kill. I mean, it's not the big kill, but they need something. You know, they're just stalling out for the Dusa. That's a great way to do it. It drags a lot of heroes out from Outsiders away from where Ramses is playing. So you can just have confidence that eventually the Scotty will come out. And you know, the damage starts pouring through from Ramses. He starts to be really durable up front. And just have faith that your Pangolier will be able to land onto the Drow every single time. Easier said than done, but you're not seeing something like a fast BKB here for Pure anyways. He is susceptible to that initiation from the rejects. 1k, less than 1k net worth lead up for the rejects. The Outsiders, for their part, I mean, again, they are still farming on Pure. You're having a great time here on GPK. I believe his BKB is just done. So he's going to be able to stand and fight, especially against that Invoker, and force that choice from the Bane for the grip. Outsiders going in for the Roche. No wards here from the rejects to spot out, but they don't fully commit. And they don't quite go all in yet. Maybe going hunting in that jungle before really going for that objective.
Yeah, we're just going to get some wards down on the high ground. It does seem like they might think about committing, but Outsiders certainly looking for a fight. Definitely preferable here. This game number 3 against CIS rejects. Ramsey still hasn't really been dealt with here on this Medusa either. Like, he's still just kind of evading Outsiders very, very well and just kind of keeping that farm going on this Dusa. The Outsiders, they'll give the ready. CIS rejects. Not quite, as we do have a beautiful kind of image there of Roshan against the Drow. Very, very epic. Thank you, Pythian.
Yeah, that's a beautiful angle.
Oh, apparently it was Neff
giving us that.
I don't want to give him credit. I don't want to give him credit.
Well, what's wrong? He has good anime taste. What do you mean?
Well, that's why
Very
he's showing us, John, because he's into anime. That's why.
There you go. See? You're welcome. Yeah. It is a beautiful angle. You know, it's a very... I don't know what to describe it. I actually don't watch many anime fights. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't speak at all on that subject.
I know we're casting EEU, John, but what is the recent anime you've been watching? You want to share with the classroom?
I haven't really watched anything. I have been interested in Spy X Family. It looks really fun. You know, Mike, it's a nice little comedy. It's a family of spies. Well, not really spies. The story is that the dad's a spy, the mom's an assassin, and they have a little kid who's apparently telepathic. I'm not sure because I haven't read or watched. but that's the basic setup, and it's just really cutesy. It's interspiced with a lot of stuff. It's really fun. It's a fun anime, Mike. But you wouldn't know. You don't like fun. You want it all dark and serious all the time, don't you?
Oh, well, when are you gonna watch like a real anime, John? You don't watch Naruto. You don't watch one. In fact, hold that thought. We're going now, John. We don't need to keep this conversation up. It's fine. Roshan's going on. Very, very important objective here for either side. Outsiders, though, they've spotted a target. Roger, gonna go for a run, but DM, he's right on target. The arrow will fly through in slow motion onto the Enchantress. They'll at least take Roger down. Do you go back for Roshan?
They could now. I mean, they still don't have the best ward to protect. Like, there's still a really good angle for the rejects to come in through the south area, and I think they should be aware after that pickoff, Roshan's going to be the big objective to take. Still falls relatively quick, though. Rejects aren't on the uptake here, and are starting to move in now with a roll rate.
They're going to have to try very soon. Roshan, still relatively healthy, is the Rolling Thunder. Maybe a little bit too early. Miero, forced to roll away now, just not willing to risk his life. Of course, the Roshan and Aegis will go the way of GPK. I suppose they had to try. It was completely blind, but again, maybe 5 seconds too early. It's now Outsiders. Again, ball is in their court. The only issue I see for Outsiders right now is the fact that Ramses is still basically uncontested when it comes to farm.
Yeah, I mean, the Deuce is still number one, but I think you're just confident that your Drow can just outrange and not care and keep the damage onto that and try to kite it around. And you also have the Ember that can jump in. So we'll see if the rejects will find the angle to really make Ramses this big turret in the middle of the engagement. So far, they haven't been grouping up to enable that. They've just been farming where they can, trying to get that build up, dropping some objectives here and there. They don't have control for their top jungle. They haven't had that in a while. And with the Aegis up, this should allow the Outsiders to start thinking about that push onto tier 2s. Like, they have really fast push with the DK on hand whenever Dragon form is up. They just kind of have to look for that opportunity. And once the tier 2 start falling, I mean, it gets really risky for Ramses. You know, he has to dip very far outside his base to farm. They've been doing a good job of playing around triangle and bot, but Outsiders finally going for that smoke play. They did surrender their mid, but might find something nice if they get that angle on Ramses.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's already positioned to run back towards the bot lane here, Ramses. He's going to be fine. Hanging around, Outsiders going to try and find themselves a target. Back into their own jungle they go. DM. Oh, he might find Miero here. That's a decent one. They're onto the Pango, and well, he's going to go down very quickly. Plenty of damage here on Pure. Not a bad target whatsoever, Jonathan. The CIS. Rejects are just going to sit back and relax for now. Again, not quite ready to go in 5v5 with Ramses quite yet, but they are certainly reaching that mark where they should feel confident. Fiend's Grip is out. So they've got the Drow Pure. He's been caught out here. Nightmare not going to hold him down. In the meantime, Depresskit ends up going down to DPK. As Yamich still trying to run. Ramses still trying to secure the kill, but needs to TP out and will do so. Unable to find anything. They go for the Fiend's Grip on Pure, but they just don't have the follow-up damage.
And they lose a lot more elsewhere. That loss in the pressed kid just opens up that opportunity for the Outsiders to finally get some aggression onto the tier 2s. Not the full lineup committing there. It's a bit of a slower process with just the Ember really showing up. And they do have the defense with a roll ready here. Oh no.
DM. Oh, he's going to be alright. Miero. He'll go for a chase, but it's all on his own now. Already missed out on the initial stun that he wanted. Make matters worse, GPK's going to find a double damage rune for himself. So suddenly now you're more than ready to just fight again. I mean, you've still got the Aegis up, you've got a double damage rune available. Everyone looks rather healthy. Why not just keep going?
Yeah, you don't really have anything to worry about so far. You've gotten everything you could possibly ask for in the past few minutes here from the Outsiders. They just need to pierce a tier 2. The Rejects have done a good job of kind of forcing this movement out from the Outsiders, though. They're playing away from their own jungle. Now they're forced to play in their jungle, as they have swapped areas around. Ramsey's taking point here. His team is backing him up. And GPK, not the fullest of mana to really commit on. He's just going to hold on to that double damage. Still a minute and a half on that Aegis. The rest of the Outsiders are a bit too far to follow through. So I'm not going to really see that opportunity, and Rejects do get to back off. Again, the farm game does benefit the Rejects here greatly. They just have to be cautious about the engagements as they break out.
Well, DM, he's gone in on his own right now, but the team is right behind him as they want Ramses, and they'll land the arrow. DM, though, he's copped so much damage. Shallow Grave will buy him a bit of time, but he's been slowed up. 4-star for Wade is going to be there, though. DM still alive. Ramses, he's going to have a look around, but they don't know where the DK's gone. Instead, they'll try to chase down Pure, but he's fine. As GPK comes in from the backside. Plenty of damage being dealt there onto Roger, but not quite enough to get the kill. As somehow, everyone gets out scot-free. Nobody dies. And I guess you just kind of reset and go again.
Yeah, you did see a few BKBs popped here and there. Pure had to pop his to save himself from the Rolling Thunder. And that's basically the big one. You have a fresh BKB for GPK, still down to 8 seconds, but ready to go. The Rejects doing a good job of just not getting the Outsiders, not giving the Outsiders anything with his Aegis. Like, they haven't been able to siege, they haven't been able to find really big kills that they'd want, although they did kill off the Pressed Kid and Miero a while ago, but not really finding the Dusa. And I think that's, you know, the big opening they have. They do spot out... No, they don't spot the Tornado yet. So we'll see if they manage to figure if it even lands. It does, but no follow-through here for the Pressed Kid. Just get no opportunity. I mean, the slow game is something that the Rejects want, but it's not something the Outsiders feel too bad about. Aegis will expire. You are still getting build up here on your Drow. BKB is going to be back online soon. And you have the Travels up along with a casual plate mail for GPK, so he's relatively durable in the front line with that BKB here if they will want to commit. But it does look like both sides, Mike, are much more interested in just having a secure game, keep that farm up, and get that build up in your big cores.
No, I bet. Ramses, he's still a massive kind of powerhouse here. Almost 18k net worth on the Dusa. It's working towards that Chrysalis. Does already have it. Maybe just go into the Silver Edge. Maybe even just the Daedalus for Ramses if he wants. Outsiders, still just sticking as a team. Might try to force the top tier 2 tower. You're going to have Miero rotate down to try and contest this. Or rather defend it. Rest of CIS Rejects also moving in very slowly. We'll spun out DM, Koda and Yamich, but won't find the angle to move in. Instead, CIS Rejects, they'll run through the mid lane. Maybe trying to force the fight around that area. But it still just doesn't seem like they want to fight. They're just happy to keep Ramses hitting creeps. That's what he'll keep doing. He is outscaling this round very hard, John. I mean, in terms of farm, he's just well and truly just destroying him in terms of net worth. So why not just keep it up? There's just no need to force a fight yet.
Yeah, the Drow just doesn't clear out as fast as Sedusa does. If you want the split shot of your own, you're going to need the Ags. You can play around with multi-shot. The cooldown's not the best in terms of uptime. So your clearing isn't as easy to keep up. They will go for the smoke play now, though. Grouping up as 4, leaving their Ember up front.
Oh, nice Fiend's Grip. GPK, he gets caught, but there's no follow-up. They've already got the Bane. FNG's gone. Miero, he tried to help out, but he was the only one there. It's Ramses now. Gonna try and back off, but GPK gonna move in. Not quite the initiation they wanted. Instead, they'll find Roger. Arrow, it'll connect. Roger has no way out of that one. Outsiders, they'll find a double. They'll move into that tier 2 mid tower, perhaps. Nobody there to skip the creep waves. They should have no issues. Just got... Ooh, a glyph. Bit early.
Preemptively glyph. They do mention cut creep wave off and burn through the range creep, so backdoor protection will kick in, stalling out that push, not giving that opportunity to the Outsiders. Nice set of kills for the Outsiders. Not the biggest. They do only find the 2 supports. You're not going to be hurting too much of that loss here for the CIS Rejects. And it's just back to that build-up. BKB popped off.
DM, make sure he can get himself out, and does. Like Roger and Yamich giving tips to each other as those pons falls, as I believe Roger was able to actually creep skip with his own enchanted creep. The Sati Tormentor, I believe, and just kind of skip the mid creep wave. The no T2 tower to drop. Now Ramses has the Silver Edge up, so you might be at that stage where you really want to start fighting. In the meantime, Depressed Kid and GPK going at it, but not Depressed Kid, he doesn't want to borrow this either. He's just going to back out of there as GPK. try for a bit of a chase, but FNG is going to be around. Problem is, you don't really have Fiend's Grip available right now. You've got to wait 15 seconds for it to be up and ready. And even then, you probably don't have the damage with just the Invoker. FNG, he's standing real still right now, John. Not moving an inch.
Yeah, he's barely outside sentry range as well. So if the Yaora did scout him out, would have been danger, but doesn't quite. And they get to just hold patience coming out from the rejects. They know what they have to do. Just look for an opportunistic grip. Look for that play once more and have the follow through this time around to get that kill. Roche still a minute and a half or a minute 20 until it respawns. It's a little bit more time where the outsiders can't go for that play. The rejects again, as you mentioned, Mike, just building up on the Dusa. You do have the Shadow Blade up on your Drow, so the keeping up is there, and that might just be the full Silver Edge as well. So Pure's got it, and then, you know, basically, I guess the Frost Arrows act like the Scotty in terms of slow at the least. So kind of farm parity here for both sides, not quite, but sort of. And still, this is very reminiscent of Game 1, isn't it, Mike? The pace is slowed down, although.
Yeah, stun out. They've got Depressed Kid. That's the one you wanted. The Invoker gone. DM able to pick up that kill on the Dragon Knight. Perhaps now, with the Invoker gone, you could probably move into that top tier 2 tower. Maybe move into the outpost and straight into Roshan after that. It'd be perfect timing here for outsiders. It doesn't seem like they're going to group up and try to make that move happen. Instead, they are still kind of roaming through the dire jungle, trying to find another target for themselves and maybe even set up the mid-tier 2 tower. That'll be about it, though. Again, they're just not looking for those big objectives yet. Roshan is up in 5, but they have not taken over the dire outpost.
No, I mean, they still need to clear tier 2 for that. And again, they're just not fully committing to respecting the fight that the rechecks can bring out when they do group up as 5, like the Rolling Thunder plus the Grip, the Stone Gaze, and all the Invoker spells can complicate matters. The rechecks, though, moving up. They know the Roche is happening.
They do, and they will try to move in, making their presence known. This Alpha Wolf is going to go down to the Roshan, and well, this is what I was kind of talking about. Like, you don't take over the outpost, you are kind of lacking that area of control around the dire jungle, and it does make it much easier for CIS rejects to just kind of move in with the smoke, and in fact, they're going to smoke up to try and force a fight. Big wrap around the Radiant Triangle. His DM is going to break the smoke of Roger. He'll go for the stun in. They're trying to burst one down, but Miero, he's there onto the Ember. Nice force staff away onto GPK, but he's still being controlled up. They really want GPK gone, and they might have him, but Shallowgrave is there. It'll buy a bit of time to GPK. He'll go for the BKB Remnant away, and he's going to be fine for now. And the Sunstrike, it's not going to land either. It was so close yet so far. Still Yamich, going to try and chase down, or rather be chased down by this Medusa as Ramses. He's not backing off. He's going all the way for this Mirana, but another Shallow Grave is there. He's still alive. Ramses instead will go after DM, and he would at least find the Dragon Knight. Onto Yamich they go. They'll find the Mirana, but they'll lose FNG and Roger. As GPK, he's not done yet. He wants the press kit on the Invoker. Remnants forward. He's trying his best. In the meantime, Ramses is out of mana. No chance of survival. He's gone. GPK, he's still going. These Shallow Graves, they just kept him alive so long. Hakoda. I mean, how many Shallow Graves that the tip finally comes out from DM? Everybody should be tipping this Dazzle right damn now.
That was just madness. Just all the saves in the world coming through, delaying out these fights, finally forcing those buybacks as well, taking a Roshan. I mean, they've got such a big opening now on the outsiders. The rejects, they had a good angle. They couldn't kill off the Ember fast enough. Just so durable with that full Shiva's up and just how much armor he has. Like, Medusa's not strong enough to take care of that solo and was fairly far out to get some good damage early on. Now, all the outsiders need to do is start piercing into that high ground. You know, they've got their good conditions lined up. They are a bit low on the mana here for Pure, and that is a consistent issue for the Drow. You just don't have that much mana to play with. But the push is slowly but surely coming out. Mid to fall, top tier 2 also being shoved in here by Pure. They might be able to defend. Depressed Kid does show up, but he has not moved on from his item build here, Mike. He's been stuck at Spirit Vessel BKB for a long time, not able to get the build up onto the Hex. And now you have to deal with the Drow with the Butterfly up. A lot of damage coming through from Pure. And again, he can just widen that gap with the Deuce and just hit away as long as the Stone Gaze isn't up.
It certainly is a lot of damage on Pure. It's gonna hurt. Ramsey's obviously not having the easiest time now. You've got to give props again. Hakoda, he's made it very hard on this Dazzle. Like, you can stand there and get as much damage off as you want, but if you haven't found the Dazzle, these Shallow Graves just give so much time for Outsiders to kind of reset and come back into the team fight. Especially for GPK, who's got the Ags up. Kind of be in and out of the fight whenever he wants, and we are going to have a quick pause out from Yamich. And this gives an opportunity for our observer Neff to find something very interesting for us on the map, Neff. Go on, Neff. You want me to compliment you, Neff? Find me something right now that's going to impress me.
You gotta put him under the bus like that. What has Neff done to you, Mike, besides
I've
just
got to put him under
watching some good
pressure.
anime?
I've got to put him under pressure, John. He's been cocky recently.
Neff doesn't find interesting things. What do you do, Neff? It happens. Just like you can't find interesting anime sometimes. You know, you can't please everyone, and Mike is a very hard to please person with very low standards. It's very different standards.
What do you mean very low standards, John? Weren't you?
No comments, Mike.
You were reading that manga called Useless Princesses, Jonathan.
It's very good. There you go.
Oh,
that
thank
is
you,
beautiful.
Neff. Thank you, Neff. That is lovely.
Are we sure that's Mike LaPhoenix? Are we sure it's Mike LaPhoenix? Is it not MP3? Is it not MOP? Is it not LMP? MPL? I'm not sure who I'm talking to anymore here.
Thank you for that, John. Tier 3 tower going to drop very fast here, Pure. Plenty of damage available. Very, very hard for the defense to come out. CIS rejects. They're going to try and move in, but the Tier 3 tower is already gone. They are slowly chipping away at this Drow Ranger, but it's not enough while the Dazzle's right behind. They'll keep going after the top racks. You've got to commit if you want this racks defended. They do push out the bot wave, but it doesn't mean too much. Outsiders, they're not backing off. Instead, Miero gonna move in. They want that first life, but there's your Shallow Grave out. Gonna protect at least for now for that Aegis, but it should expire very, very soon as Pure. He's still going. He's gonna survive again. Oh, it's disgusting. It's just disgusting. He'll walk away with the Aegis. They won't even get the first life, and Outsiders, they might have a secondary chance at this top racks.
Yeah, they get to shoot back. They've done some good damage onto the range and melee racks. Tier 3 gone. That's going to force the rejects to always respond as a team. And you know what, Mike? I'm loving seeing an actual support Dazzle again. Because for the longest time, we were cursed. Remember, every time we'd see Dazzle in like the Chinese games we'd cast, it's like off-lane Dazzle, mid-Dazzle, rushing Midas, rushing the dead Necronomicon. Now you see the impact of a really well-positioned Dazzle. Just all the saves in the world, constant healing,
Jump in.
not even a holy locket.
Now, I certainly agree with your points there, John, as Miero, way on disc, only going to save for so much.
Ooh.
He'll try to roll up, but it's so much right-click damage from Pure. In fact, Roger, he tried to stick around, but GPK, go for a bit of a chase, knows where the Ench is gone. It'll be a bit of a slow process, but nonetheless, the process will be done. GPK will pick up another 15k net worth advantage now for Outsiders. So they'll move into the mid-tier 3 tower. Pure alone will just get it done. Ramses, I mean, he can be as farmed as he wants, John, but if he's not going to hit anyone, it won't really matter.
And they've got the leveler up on Pure now as well. So this process is a lot faster than you'd want it to be. Ags up on DM, Black Dragon form is up. Making short work of everything. And yeah, just go for it. Like, they can't get Megas. They know they have to apply pressure now. Without that playmaking on the Pangolier, forcing the fight here is very, very difficult for the rejects.
Pure takes down one tier 4. They've got to force a fight. I mean, it is 3v5, but you've got to get something done here as Pure. Is he going to back off? 20 seconds left on the Aegis. They are just trying to wait this one out. Moving in, though, they find the Bane. FNG already gone, and now they can move into the backside. GPK, who are we aiming? Ramses right in the middle, trying to man-fight against Pure. He is in trouble right now, but he's still got the Aegis for another 5 seconds. In fact, Shallow Grave, it may have kind of screwed him up a little bit. Pure, I think he wanted to die there. It won't matter, though, because GPK, he'll just keep going, and Ramses, he's gone. DM, he'll pick up the kill. Ramses has no buyback available. And GG's are called, FNG. He's seen enough. Outsiders, after losing game 1 in quite a disgusting fashion, they will be able to take a 2-1 victory against CIS Rejects. What a fashion it was, Jonathan.
They play spectacularly well on the Outsiders, and so did the Rejects. I think it was a very, very close match here for a second series of the day. The Rejects just having this idea with their Dusa. They went back for the Depressed Kid Invoker. Didn't quite get off to the start they wanted to. They didn't manage to find the kills they'd want. Outsiders just worked a lot better as a team. I think the Rejects, we were seeing them, especially in that mid-tier 1 defense, they were streaming in one by one. Felt like the coordination wasn't quite there, or not quite as lined up as it was for the Outsiders, and they made great use of those mistakes. They start snowballing from that point. They build up under Drow. They know they've got this core matchup that's really nice. And I mean, big props are Dazzler, man. So many great saves coming out there, just really stalling out, especially in that fight, building into the Roshan. But there was just no response from the Rejects. They had no instant burst. They didn't have a hero that could just instantly melt someone to prevent that shallow grave. And in these prolonged fights, Dazzle is king.
Certainly is, John, and I appreciate the reference you made, because you and I, we did cast a lot of games in the Chinese region where we saw Dazzle pretty much every second game, and, well, like you said, that was a bit of a painful affair back then, when, mind you, that was core Dazzle, John. That was a bit of a different story, in fairness to the Chinese region, but it is very refreshing to see a support Dazzle have so much impact in a game in 2022 where, you know, it feels like we haven't seen Dazzle be relevant as support in, I don't know, 5+ years or something. I kind of remember when it was relevant in Dota 2 as a support. It just feels that long ago. Still, congrats again to Outsiders for making it through to the second round of the upper bracket. Of course, if you are a CIS Rejects fan, they're not out of it yet, John. They've just been knocked down to the lower bracket. Obviously, a bit of a rougher path as you don't have any second chances down there. But nonetheless, you do still have this second chance of being able to play once again through the lower bracket. So still, CIS Reject fans out there, they're not out of it yet. They've still got an opportunity through the lower bracket.
Yeah, and again, the Rejects did a great job of keeping those games even. Game 1 was probably the closest. It felt like the Outsiders had a really good shot of just delaying as long as they wanted to. It's just small mistakes were made. Game 2 was also fairly tight. You know, it's just so competitive with these two teams, and I think that's a great sign for CIS Rejects, because this is, again, a team that got promoted from Div 2, a team that had to work their way up to Div 1, and they fight up against, you know, in Tour 1, third placers in Outsiders, and they still bring up a good fight. So it's a good sign for the Rejects. I think lower bracket, you know, it's where the winners go through, Mike, in the end. And I think any fan from the Rejects should have faith in that. As long as they keep their mental game intact, you know, there is a tendency. I know EU is a very emotional sort of region, just like C is. So as long as you maintain that composure, I think there's still a good shot there for the Rejects to make a good run.
I appreciate it. It's very entertaining to see teams like this just kind of go at it with the constant tips and the all chat during the pauses and everything else. I mean, it's just so much more fun. I mean, you kind of wonder why people even complain about these things, John. Like, it's offending them somehow that somebody's getting tipped in a video game. You know, it's ridiculous. It's hella fun to watch. It's great. And of course, the mental game side of Dota is a thing. People like to pretend like it's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. And, you know, just fantastic to see these two teams kind of giving it to each other constantly. And obviously they're friends, Jonathan. Obviously by their attitude together, they're friends with each other. But, you know, always a bit of good fun with the psychological warfare between these two. I do believe we do have an interview on the way, by the way. So we are just kind of waiting out that. Don't think we're just sitting here talking for no apparent reason. We'll have a look at the bracket, though, before we do go into that. The bracket shouldn't have too much updated, though, John, but we should see, you know, Outsiders moving their way through. Of course, I believe Na'Vi made their way through earlier as well. And there you go. So, Hellraisers, CIS Rejects, they've been knocked down to the lower brackets for now, but again, it's not too big of a deal. That's your second chance, and I believe there's a third slot to fight over later on, but I'm not sure exactly how that part works.
Yeah, there's 3 slots, so I think there's going to be another elimination bracket for the remaining teams again. I'm not sure how seeding works, or depending on placement, but there are 3 slots to fight for the EEU DPC, and it should be a smooth run. We still have 2 series to watch out for. I think we only have 1 series tied up right now, which will be next. So we'll see that later on down the line, and it does look like we probably won't be getting that interview, so that might be it. But again, there are more series lined up here later on in the day, and you should stick around for some more great EEU action coming up.
Oh, absolutely. There is a third series coming up very, very soon. But like you said, John, we're going to head off to a very short break. And if we do have an interview, we'll be back very, very soon. But before then, it is MLP Dota and johnxfire. It's been a pleasure. Don't go anywhere. There's a third series coming up very, very soon. But till then, we'll see you again.